For 100 years, Civic Center Park has sat in the shadows of the state capitol.
This park is a great neoclassical reflection of the City Beautiful, with the symmetry, with the classical architecture, with the open space, the green space.
The City Beautiful movement was both an architectural and sociological reform that started in the late 19th century.
When people had been to Chicago to see the World's Fair in 1893, got excited about how beautiful and clean and inspiring cities could be at a time when cities were crowded and dangerous and disease-ridden and pretty ugly and dangerous places.
Robert Speer attended that World's Fair. 11 years later, as Denver's new mayor, he put the City Beautiful project at the top of his agenda. Civic Center Park was part of that plan.
This was an urban renewal project back in around 1910 or so.
Speer called on some architectural heavy hitters of the day, including Frederick Law Olmsted Jr. and William Bennett.
Something of a collaboration. It's the best. It's a consolidation of different people's ideas.
But its construction fostered its share of controversy.
We had a lot of opposition, like so much of this plan originally, where one Denverite groused, "What the heck does Denver need a Greek theater for? We ain't got that many Greeks here."
It's strangely fitting, then, that as Civic Center Park enters its next century, controversy over its future once again comes to the forefront.
Some of the early visions for the park were laid out, and there were components that were never realized. And so some of the enhancements that were being talked about now are just really a completion of those visions from the early 20th century.
City planners agree the park needs a makeover. The structures are starting to show their age, creating a perception of neglect that makes many visitors feel uneasy.
I mean, most of the people we see in the park today are walking from one point to another point. They walk through the park, but they don't feel comfortable and inclined to want to stay.
Making the park more inviting and accessible is the primary goal of Denver Park and Rec's master plan.
And it calls for activation of the park. The park is very active during certain times of the year when there are festivals or gatherings, but it's more of a, how can we make this place more attractive on a daily and weekly basis.
The Parks Commission called for ideas from prominent architects in an effort to jumpstart that dialogue. The challenge for preservationists is to balance the old and the new in a way that respects the park's heritage.
It is such a formally designed and beautifully designed park of its time that I think it's perhaps more important to retain the original aspects of the park in their entirety.
However, whenever you do add something to the park, you want to make sure that it's representative of the time from when it came and not necessarily trying to mimic something that might have been.
Now, as 100 years ago, the hope is to draw upon the best of these plans to make Civic Center Park a fitting centerpiece to the downtown landscape.
It's more about managed change so that we can continue to activate and enjoy the places that are important.